Let's take a look at both of the annotated bibliography platforms that you have available with which to gather and organize your research for PT1, especially your IRR. So if you're going to use the Google Doc, I would like all of your team members' names to be placed in that first box. If your team has all agreed to one large Google Doc with which to share, please put the team members' names in order of how they will appear in the Google Doc. So I know what team member has what sources. This next box is for one team member's name, and then what is highlighted is where you will place your research question and have your lens woven in specifically for your exploration of that research question. Make sure you've heeded wise feedback from your peers in class, either yesterday or this morning, and make sure that you've highlighted your lens in that art cue for me. And then these bulleted spots right here, before you do research, it might be nice for you just to make a list of some areas you know you need to explore, some arenas that your team has asked you to look at, perhaps some specific stakeholders or varying perspectives. Maybe it's unique organizations of which you need to invest in some research. So I would give yourself maybe a pre-writing goal sheet here. You can have as many bullets as you want. And then as you research it, you could go up and put a little check mark by it or use this formatting. Maybe you'd highlight it somehow so you know what tasks you have accomplished. So this is up to you. I would just recommend that you do it for planning purposes. And then that first team member now has an area for source one. Please don't change source one. It'll be good for me to know this is your first source when I'm counting. And then over here, I need to know whether this is a tier one, a tier two, or a tier three. Just to remind you, a tier one is going to be a scholarly, peer-reviewed, academic, highly researched and vetted article. Most of these will be found in EBSCO or JSTOR. Some college sites will have them, but you need to look at how many have contributed to the work and in what manners it was published, for what purposes. A tier two is going to be a highly reputable source, perhaps a medical entity that the nation or the globe values, an organization's publications. Some colleges or, specific publications within a college would fall in here. EDU sites, .gov, some .org. And then three are going to be those very reputable news media outlets. Make sure that you are staying as center on the conservative, liberal, left, right bias. And a good place to look for that is on the quick links document that I have posted in classwork for your Google Classroom. I added one called Adfontes, Adfontes. So that is an area you might want to consider about the bias level of the source you're choosing if it's a tier three. After you've done that, I need to know who the author or authors are. If there are CLAs for those, that would be super helpful for you to put them here. If it's a tier one, it might be helpful for you just to have that the first time you mention that person in your IRR if you end up using this information. And then the specific publishing group, any CLAs for them, title of work, if there is a title, publication date, web address, hyperlinked would be really helpful here. And then I've given you some areas to divide your research that you are pulling from this one source. Type in this area right here the information you're putting in this bullets. What unifies that information? Is it a study? Is it a specific perspective? Is it a specific stakeholder's feedback? Well, what you need to consider, remember, is the significance of this problem. You're looking for research there in a variety of areas that fit your lens. And then you're looking for different perspectives and different stakeholders. Remember, perspectives are opinions, and the same type of stakeholder, there could be different opinions within that one type of stakeholder. And then problems and limitations and complications to those. I'm sorry, not problems. You already have a problem. You're looking for solutions to your problem. And then within those solutions, limitations and complications. So if you need more than just 3 columns, come down here and put another heading and then more bullets. What that will do is it'll help you organize the information from which you're pulling from that source. Some of you are pulling from 15, 20 page sources and from EBSCO. They're tier 1. It's giving you a lot of information. Sometimes you're pulling from a source that gives you 3 different perspectives. So this will help you spread out the information you're getting from each source. So that's what you're going to do per source. Down here is source 2. Same information is necessary here. And if you just want to highlight the tier that it is, or if you want to remove all the other options except the one that it is, that's sufficient. And then source 3 and source 4 and on and on. If this is a shared document, folks, I've capped it at 10. You can definitely have more than that. But if you're sharing, at the point a new team member has his or her sources, please put this hot pink star division, this line, and then I need the name box. And then just copy and paste the source tables and start your process. So this will all need to be done before individual team members start adding it, if you are going to share. Okay, and now let's take a look at the slide deck, because you may want to do that instead. I, as a researcher, would probably do the slide deck, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But this slide needs to be completed. What's the team problem? What is your research question with your lens highlighted? Choose one of these starter phrases. Current tasks, what has your team asked you specifically to find out, or what do you know you need to find out? You might want to put those here. The significance of the problem, as you are getting research, you might want to come back and add that in. Maybe just put source 2/ and talk about a study. This is just for your organization. This is for stakeholders. As you're doing research, if you want to come in and put, source 3 and source 4 talked about stakeholders. And again, possible solutions as you're doing research if you want to put them in here. Now, slides 3, 4, and 5 are extra. You may want to look at slides 3, 4, and 5 after you've done about 6 sources of information. But your annotated bibliography will start on slide 6 with source 1. And these little boxes are unique to the columns we had here. They are just in text boxes here. You can delete 2 text boxes and make these bigger if you only have 4 different areas that source categorized information. And remember, the focus is maybe putting a specific study that you're looking at, maybe looking at a specific stakeholder, maybe stakeholders/parents opinion 4 could be one box, and then stakeholders/parents opinion against. So you're getting a variety of perspectives, but I would encourage you to put some type of heading in these focus spots so you can manage the information you're pulling from sources. If you don't separate what you're gleaning, you just have this long dump of information from each source. And then when you start crafting your IRR, you're going to have to go categorize all of those dumps in a sense, and that's going to take time. I would do it on the front end. Slide 7 is just if you need more space for source 1. Slide 8 is for source 2. Slide 9 is if you need more space. Slide 10 is for source 3, and so forth. Now, you could share the slide deck with a team. All of the team members would have to agree to do that. And if you are going to do that, you would need to copy slides, I'd say 2 through 21. copy all of those for each team member who's contributing if you're going to do that. But it is an option. Right, I hope this has been helpful.